Hey guys, it's Crystal Lee Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor. Crystal Lee Moore. This is Realtor Life, a fun and entertaining look at life in the trenches as a real estate professional or entrepreneur in Ontario. And I'm so excited to introduce today's guest. This woman is awesome. She's a friend and a colleague, Amanda Veitch with Human Resources for Business, HRP.
Partners for business. That's so
Partners,
cute.
yes. So it is a cool acronym. I'm going to let Amanda introduce herself and her business. But welcome. So happy you're here, Amanda.
Crystal, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here and just, share some wisdom thoughts and just have a conversation about entrepreneurship because there's so much to learn and dive into. And as you mentioned, I'm with Human Resources Partners for Business. So we are essentially a fractional HR consulting firm. We typically help small, medium-sized businesses with all things HR from start to the end. It's typically for those that don't necessarily need an internal HR person full time, but they still have those needs, right? Those things still come up. They still hire employees. They still need contracts done or recruitment done.
Yep.
Perhaps even policies, handbooks, terminations, and then all the way into leadership, coaching, and development. So, the whole gambit of HR. We have a legal partner within the business. So anything that rises to a level that's, gets into the more legal matters, he's right there to hold hands and make sure our clients are well taken care of. So yeah, very exciting time.
Amazing. Well, and it's so important. And I would say human resources and expertise is something kind of we all need. And for anyone listening who's like, oh, I don't need this. I only have a part-time consultant assistant. I think even there, having a chat to make sure that the wording in your contract, in your dialogue isn't stepping over into employee
Boundaries.
realms,
Yeah.
even having you guys review contracts and things like that, I think is really important so that later on you're not in some hot water.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it starts from as soon as you bring somebody on, whatever capacity that is, it's important to set those expectations very clearly, and the boundaries around it, and to have a very firm and contract in place so that you're, like you said, you're not in hot water later. So, yeah, it
Absolutely.
starts right from the beginning.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is very exciting. And for anyone watching on video, you are very young and beautiful. So the first question I have is how did you end up being an owner of a pretty big deal company? How did this happen? What was the walk us through? Because
Oh
it's
my goodness, it feels
amazing.
like it was all sort of by accident. It's kind of a funny story. So, I was prior to contracting, because I worked as a contractor within the business, I was in HR, an HR manager role at a larger manufacturing firm here in London, Ontario. I went on maternity leave, and that's when I sort of like, I don't want to be completely out of it because a
Yep.
year, there's a lot that can happen in a year. So I got approached to just do a couple hours overflow with as a contractor, and it was something I can turn off and on as life changes and my needs change. Um, and that was around COVID. So this was all like the 2020 era time of, and everything shut down. And my husband went remote, and I'm like, this might be the opportunity that we actually move back out west, which is where we met. We met in Banff, Alberta. So we packed up a house and a baby and a dog and moved across the country. Didn't really tell, like it was kind of a quiet thing. We too many people know. But I did have to let the lady know that owned the business, and she's like, I'm so mad at you because I wanted to sell you this business. Like I'm getting nearing retirement. And I had you in mind as my successor. So also, I had, placed a seed with Fanshawe as a teacher there, and things it's funny how you start these conversations early on, and a couple years later, they all sort of come to fruition. So nothing really ever happens like the moment you approach it.
Yeah.
So I was getting teaching contracts. This lady wanted to, have me take over the business, and we had some big decisions to make. And funny, at that time, I was getting into real estate in Alberta. So I was like, okay, there's not much HR happening in such a small town,
Yep.
but the real estate market is blowing up. So I completely flipped the switch on the HR side, was did my whole RICA. So Alberta's called RICA, and completed it. And then right before paying my dues, we turned around, came back, and within 4 months, I think, yeah, ownership from there. So, and have not breathed since. That was 2022 at that point. So April of 2022 is when the ownership changed over.
I will
And
say, and for any realtors listening, a lot of the changes we've had in Ontario have been basing their changes off of both BC and Alberta. So if you even remotely think that, oh, maybe it's easier in Alberta, and that's why Amanda decided to do it in the pandemic, and why not? No, no, like all the courses, like you did a whole thing and had
oh,
this opportunity to come back.
I'm gonna actually move my screen because I'm looking at this textbook right now, kind of laughing at how much work went into. So here's the four textbooks that I did in, I think, 4 months. I think it was a month each. And it was
Wow.
just, I think it would be a tower if I stood it back up. But it was so much work with the baby, moved across the country, and just, try to
Amazing.
make something new happen, right? I
Yeah.
wanted a fresh start. It was, I think a lot of people went through that during the pandemic, right?
Oh yeah.
Just
Reinvention. Yep.
you mentioned a lot have happened, and you know what? I think my roots, things got pulled back to my roots. And I say London, I can never get rid of London because they call me back on many occasions. So, and it's not a
Yeah.
bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's just yeah, you never predict these things. Some things you just can't plan for, but you
For
have to,
sure.
you feel it. I think that's why I knew it was the right move. All the doors were opening, the
Yeah.
agreements were going, and I was like, I think this is it. This is the calling. So,
And how
um,
good is it that so even though you didn't think it was maybe the right move for you at the time, you kept the door open, right?
mm,
What a strong lesson for anyone. Like, it doesn't mean because you had this great opportunity presented that could happen, you didn't kind of stop your dreams, right? You said, okay, I'm still going to do this, but you stayed in touch.
yeah,
And then all of a
absolutely.
sudden, when the opportunity came, you already had like it's kind of leaving the bridge open, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I always knew I wanted to do something for myself, right? I'm always upskilling, reskilling. I'm very organized. I'm pretty gritty and hungry. And
Yep.
that's why I think real estate sort of spoke to me, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
constant right? In
It is
those
constant.
it's constant. And so, the ownership in some way or another, like I just knew that was the push.
Yes.
And I learned a lot through, I mean, just customer interactions and client interactions through the RICA program and everything about houses, inside and out. But I think the HR side was just the drawback, and it was where I knew, the profession the most. And I just said, you know what, let's just go for it. I have no clue how to own a business. I don't know any of the account. I never put a business plan together. Luckily for me, it was an established business.
Yes.
So I think at that time it was already 8 years old. And the person who had started it had a good foothold on many areas in the area, such as like St. Thomas, Tillsonburg, Woodstock, getting into London, and that's where my strengths were. So I really leaned into my network, and being from London,
Yeah.
I knew that I could, take the torch from where she started and continue it going,
Yeah.
right? So, but needless to say, if I didn't really have a plan. I knew what I wanted to continue doing and where I wanted to refine things and change things and bring my own flair and
Yep.
uniqueness into it. But I was so fortunate to have mentorship through that. So the lady stayed on for many years. She's
Huge.
still today actually within the company,
Yep.
um, continuously mentoring myself and my business partner, who I just also started his own business law firm. So he's a co-partner of mine and then his own. And we're honestly learning this together as we go. And I think my
Amazing.
point for this is you don't have to have all the answers before you start something, right? You can learn as you go. You
Yeah.
can ask the questions and ask your network. I think a lot of other business owners want to see others succeed, right? Success is such a big part of their business and the ups and downs and wanting others and their employees succeed. So that's just sort of the ethos around, progressing and movement. And I think anyone would be happy to help those, and answer questions for those who are looking to
Absolutely.
get into it. But it is a 24/7 job. I wouldn't recommend those to get into it if they're, oh, I'm just going to work, 4 hours a day, maybe eventually. But at
Yeah.
the early stages, there's the marketing and the networking and doing the job by building the business at the same time.
Yeah.
It's just, and everything does fall on you, right? And especially if you have
Yes.
employees and contractors and, invoicing estimates, quotes, all of it. You're wearing so many hats all the time.
Yes. And
So
that's, I think a lot of people, so I guess the biggest thing I'd say when you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, like when you feel you're called to do it, I think the work, it's still hard, but it becomes easier than if you were doing something that you thought you were supposed to do, not what you love.
absolutely. You wake up almost excited to get into the day,
Yes.
right? Rather than
And yeah.
dreading. There's hard times. Don't get me wrong. For sure, there are times where this is going to be a tough one to get through today, but
Oh yeah.
it's certainly, weighs out later, and you see the the positive.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing too is I think anyone listening to this, like we've all kind of drank the crazy Kool-Aid of entrepreneurship. So it's it's not the people like, and that I actually was joking with this with a friend. When you become an entrepreneur, it becomes not impossible, but more difficult if you have friends who if you met them while you had a 9 to 5 and then
Mm.
you switch, it's very hard for them to understand that you're not like in a bad situation and you don't need to fix anything. It's just you're not done at 5 anymore. And your weekends might not be free anymore. And I find it really, that's almost like we get all these extra friends they're already entrepreneurs or they are going into it because we all kind of share that understanding.
And it's funny, I have, those that work maybe like nursing jobs or
Yep.
something, or regular job schedules, and they think I always have lunch available. They're always
Yeah.
like you make your own schedule, right? I'm like, well, yes, but I mean,
Freedom.
it's packed all the time. Like, yes,
Yeah.
I could do a lunch, but it doesn't mean I have the afternoon off. And of course, we can shuffle things around,
Yeah.
but and it happens, but it's not like I'm lazing back and
It's a
enjoying it.
different mindset.
It's a different mindset for sure.
Yes, for sure. And I think so we
Discipline,
joke a
right?
lot, Brian
Yeah.
Buffini, for real estate too, but what even for being your own boss, it's like you have all this freedom and there's no ceiling to what you can make. And it's like, well, you also have less freedom and there's also no floor to what you can make.
I love that.
You're
Yeah.
not getting money anymore, right? Like you're earning every single thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, a lot of
yeah,
discipline behind it. You have to be very disciplined with.
100%. And you're very good at that, which I think is a good, I mean, that's for being and some people, I will say, so maybe you're listening to this and you would like to own your own business because it sounds so cool. You have to be a self-starter. You have to be organized and disciplined or connected with the people that are.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Some of the most magical things that have happened was through collaboration, right? And that could be
Yes.
collaboration through networking groups, right? Just meeting a
Yep.
dynamic group of individuals that we can just speak the language of entrepreneurship
Yes.
together that maybe others in your life aren't there, right?
Yep.
Or teaming up on a project or some sort of joint venture, doing a seminar together, right? So with
Yeah,
like individuals, because it's such a lonely position to be in as well, right? Like,
it is.
especially if you don't have a business partner, right? Everything you sometimes and you don't always want to bring the conversations to the family and your friends all the time, right? I mean, you
Yep.
want to keep that some of the things separate, but again, just some of those things that you can work on together with other people
Yep.
be so fun and exciting, and just kind of take the weight
Exactly.
off, but also
Yeah.
bring their networks and your networks together, and
Yep.
like I said, create something magical out of it.
Absolutely. Well, and Amanda joined our Rise group. We have a women's networking group for business leaders in London. And Amanda joined in I guess, last
Summer, yeah.
spring. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're right. Like
Crazy.
in the spring. Yeah.
It's been a while. Yeah. But it's so cool because, and I think networking is very important as an entrepreneur because
Mhm.
it really is like I have a network, you have a network. And then when we connect, have this like huge expansion. And the
Yeah.
more people you add to that network, especially like-minded business owners, right, who are all go-getters and really want to support each other. So I'm so happy that we connected.
Oh
Thank
yeah.
you.
And and the conversations are just so rich too, right? I mean, you get a bunch of A-type go-getters in a room. I mean, it's endless of the possibilities that can happen or,
Yeah,
the exciting, drive that we can all bring together and do some cool things. So
absolutely. And have fun too. And I
I'm
think that's the best part because I mean, we have the one life. So that's where you're doing what you want to do. You're connecting with great people and you're having fun.
yeah.
So that's always the goal.
Uh,
Okay, so you have been an owner of HRP4B for how many years now?
for myself, it'll be 3 years in April, and the
Okay,
business turns 11 years old in February. So
amazing.
3 of 11.
What would you say on this journey? What is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned and that you would share with someone kind of starting their own business, not necessarily in this field, but starting your own business? What is a lesson that you think you've learned that might have helped smooth things if you knew it earlier?
Ooh, I think the main thing is always focus in on your integrity, right? That is going to push things forward. Sometimes, cash flow can be a challenge, and you don't put yourself in a more rotten position by doing something out of it that isn't integral
Yes.
to you and your business. Those things will follow you, right? I mean, and always treat your customers and clients as if they're the most important person, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
there's if they have a problem, you need to solve it. Um, and I've had it before where customers or clients blew up for some sort of situation, and maybe not on us necessarily, but something that was happening. And it's important not to respond and react with their same energy, right? I mean, and I've learned so many times there is something happening in the background, and you were just the person that
The line of fire. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And to take that time to collect, because we instantly want to react in defense, right? And match that energy and the way they're speaking to you, but it's not worth it later. So you save face, save that relationship, take a moment. I always say the 24-hour rule. If there's an email, for example, sometimes it's hard to have face to face, but an email, just take the day to respond. They'll calm down, you'll calm down. You can get someone to maybe vet your response. I
Yeah.
even use ChatGPT
Yeah.
for a lot of things. Truly, I do.
Make
Like,
this sound more patient and calmer.
yes, exactly. Honestly, it's like, oh, I love it. And through that calm and collected, you can solve this. Honestly,
Yeah.
everything, there's always another way. You can solve everything. A little motto I have is sales solves everything. So don't ever stop to try and be innovative and, upskill, reskill, try to find, new product or service offerings that you can add to your repertoire. And, it just opens up so many more doors. So if you're going to focus on one thing, I would say that is your main baby is to, especially as an owner, is
Yeah.
to continuously have, different revenue streams.
What was
And
the sentence? What solves everything?
sales solves everything.
Sales solves everything. I like it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I
What
love that. Very cool.
I would say if you have employees, I think this is really important too, is if you have employees or contractors, try to tie their goals with business goals. And what I mean by this, so let's say, sales is your main target for this year, you're trying to reach a
Yeah,
certain target. That person or individual, although they can work hard, but they don't be afraid to find a way to incentivize and compensate that, especially those go-getters, the ones that are just showing up positively, moving the needle,
yeah,
just breaking through things. And so, some sort of reward structure to incentivize. Maybe it is in sales. I mean, there's other ways you can incentivize people for doing good work that isn't just, always in sales, but try to hit a way that they can hit their personal targets or their goals by doing well in your business, if that makes sense. So they have
yeah,
you have a goal,
For
try to
sure.
find a line you help us with this, we're going to help
Yeah,
you over here, right? So, and I think it just helps reinforce the right behaviors that you want in your workplace, right? Keeping.
absolutely. Yeah. I think that's it's a really good point. Now, as far as, so if someone, let's say someone listening has their own business, but it's not big.
Mhm.
Do you have kind of systems in place where, like if you had like a consultation or a coaching a few times to kind of figure out what someone needs, do you have that as as an offering?
Absolutely. You know
Nice.
what? The startup and the early stage entrepreneurs is really where we want to support right from the get-go because we know
Nice.
as they grow, they'll use our services for more as they get there, right?
Yeah.
So we are a non-subscription based company. So there is no, you don't have to commit to anything. You want 30 minutes of my time, that's all you are committing to. We
Yeah.
also offer a free HR audit. So if you're like, I have no idea what I need or don't need,
Yeah.
we'll go through it with you. It's almost like a
That's really
checklist
good.
and tell you at what stages you need certain things. If you're at 25 plus, you should have this. As soon as
Yeah.
day one, you have an employer contractor, you need this, right? So, it's something, a tool that we'll give you after for you to sort of follow, and you'll know at what time you need to maybe contact us for more information.
Yeah.
And we do the first consultation is free. So if you're like, just tell me,
Amazing.
yeah. And
I
then from,
actually, as we're talking, I realized like I make so I was in that category. So I have an assistant, but she's a contractor.
Mhm.
So she just sends me invoices.
Yeah.
But as I'm going through, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna set some time on the calendar with you because it would be a good idea moving forward, even if I want to expand her role. I have no idea. I have no idea if I'm doing it properly or not.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that's an important piece, especially for realtors, is that, I mean, even on a team, like we have my teammate and I have a contract that my broker wanted us to create. And it's not an employee contract, but it still might be a good idea to have it reviewed because, um, yeah, because you guys can do it properly and make sure like it checks all the boxes legally as well.
Yeah, yeah, we can certainly help with contractor and
And I
sometimes
think,
it
yeah.
but most of
Realtors, realtors especially, but I mean, even whether it's a mortgage broker, realtor, even if you, the one of the biggest things we talk about is getting out of the employee mentality as a business owner, especially in real estate, because most people it's a second career, right? Even for you, if you were going to do it, it would have been a second career.
yeah, yeah,
And getting out of even if you think you're an employee for yourself, you're all of a sudden a business owner. And that comes with a lot of perks, but it comes with responsibilities. So
yeah,
making sure that you are doing things right, because maybe nothing bad will happen, but if it does, don't you want to know that you're protected, right? So this is a huge service that you guys offer. And I think it's so good.
yeah. We want to limit your risks and liabilities and just inform you from the get-go, right? Sometimes,
Yeah.
it's okay the way it is, but if the wheels fall off, or this is how they could fall off, at
Yes.
least you are mentally prepared, should that happen,
Yeah.
and then we can go through the options from there. But hopefully we
Mhm.
can be more on the preventative side so that you're just
Fingers
empowered
crossed.
and you
Yes.
can sleep well at night and not have to worry of, someone goes rogue, what would happen? But
For
all
sure.
the protections from the get-go is very important, so that you're not stuck in water later. So
Amazing. Now you also have leadership coaching that's already launched or coming up
almost launching. Yes.
almost.
Yes. Just about. I believe we're going to start it in March of this
Nice.
year. So
That's exciting.
it's a 6 or 8 module 2-day leadership program, and the intent, it's for those that are up and coming, new to leadership, right? You're promoting someone who is just a stellar employee and they're ready to take on the next leap, but they need the tools and just some of that coaching and
Yeah,
education where they jump into it. And so it'll be public classes. So, we'll have the 2 dates set and anyone can register here in London. And again, and it could be for anyone. It could be
yeah.
leadership, even in your own home, your community, your volunteer experiences, uh,
Fantastic.
in the workplace. So, yeah.
Amazing. Now, how can people reach out to you, Amanda? What's
Sure.
the
Yeah.
best way?
By email, it'd be info@hrp4b.com.
Okay.
phone, 519-494-2936. But you can also find us on pretty much all the social media sites. We're on LinkedIn,
Nice.
Facebook,
And is it
X.
at HRP4B?
Yes. Yes.
Amazing.
Those links. Yeah. So
Amazing. And LinkedIn, I think LinkedIn's probably a good one as well. I'm starting to lean more into LinkedIn. I think a lot of business owners that are as well, because at first it seemed like something just for, I felt either the corporate world or sales. And as we're going further and further, it seems like the place to connect and almost build that foundation for networking.
yeah,
You find that
absolutely.
too?
Yes. Yeah, we connect a lot through to individuals through and they find us that way too. We send out a
Nice.
lot, almost 3 posts a week and a newsletter every month. And it's information sharing, right? What's the legal updates? What
Yep.
are best practices?
Fantastic.
This has come down the pipeline, just to inform you. And if you need more, we're here to help more. So
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you, Amanda. This has been such a great conversation. I'm actually shocked that the time has gone by so quickly. But is there anything else that you would say? So if you are either on your own or just starting out, um, do you think that beyond the lessons, like for setting things up, do you think meeting with you beforehand is better, or kind of is it better to, so if it's a, let's say a realtor and you want to hire an assistant, is it better to kind of have things in place first or to
yeah,
find
let's
someone?
explore that first, right? Because we want to make sure that, is this a true contractor position? Because with that comes, freedoms for that contractor, right? And you don't want to put yourself into a competition situation, or, you want to just outline exactly the expectations, what
Yeah,
the outcomes you're looking for, and then put it in documentation, right?
for
So
sure.
you don't want to go backwards on something like this. So especially when you're
Absolutely.
protecting your brand, your image, your new
Yes.
business, your journey, right? You don't want someone, a bad faith situation happening that it comes down in the first little while. So, let's make sure we're as transparent as possible and just, find the right fit. That's huge
Yeah.
too.
For sure. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. If anyone's listening, if for you or for anyone else, like even in our talk, I actually am thinking of a client of mine that could really use a consultation with you. Um, but if you have someone, please reach out to Amanda and her team. They're amazing. And as always, we will continue to have wonderful conversations with great people that can help us all. And thank you so much for joining us today, Amanda. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Krystal Lee Moore Lucier, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee Moore. And I hope that everyone has a fantastic day. Please look up HRP4B online, and we'll talk to you soon.
I think so much.